Have you noticed how differently you see people now that you're past 68? It's not just your eyesight changing, it's something deeper, something most people never talk about. With age comes a unique perspective that allows you to see what others miss. Subtle patterns in behavior, relationships, and life choices that reveal so much about where people are heading. In this video, I'll share 6 profound insights that come after your 68th birthday, observations that will transform how you interact with everyone from family members to strangers. Stay with me until the end because understanding these insights doesn't just change how you see others. It gives you wisdom to navigate your own remaining years with clarity and purpose. By the end, you'll not only recognize these patterns in others, but you'll understand what to do with this knowledge to enrich your relationships and avoid the regrets that plague so many in their final years. Insight number 1. You can finally see through people's words to their true intentions. One of the most remarkable changes that happens after you turn 68 is your ability to see through what people say to what they truly mean. It's as if all those decades of human interaction have fine-tuned your perception, giving you a sixth sense about authenticity that younger people simply don't possess. When someone speaks to you now, you don't just hear their words. You notice the slight hesitation, the flicker in their eyes, the subtle shift in posture that reveals their true intentions. Think about Martha and Robert, both in their 40s. When Martha visits her elderly father, she sits close, makes eye contact, and asks questions about his day, not just the polite, "How are you?" but specific questions about the book he mentioned last week or the neighbor's dog he's been watching from his window. Her posture is relaxed, her phone stays in her purse, and she's fully present. When she says, "I love spending time with you," you can feel the truth in those words. Then there's Robert, who visits his father-in-law out of obligation. He brings gifts, says all the right things, and might even stay longer than Martha does. But you notice how he checks his phone when he thinks no one's looking, how his questions are generic, how his eyes dart around the room rather than truly connecting. He says, "It's always great to see you," but something in his tone falls flat. At 68, you can spot the difference immediately, though you might have missed it at 40. This isn't about becoming cynical or suspicious, it's about seeing people clearly. Years of experiencing both genuine connection and social performance have trained your brain to distinguish between them almost instantly. Research has shown that emotional recognition actually improves with age, even as other cognitive functions may decline. Your brain has cataloged thousands of human interactions, creating a sophisticated pattern recognition system that alerts you when something doesn't quite match up. The beauty of this insight isn't just in spotting insincerity, it's in recognizing authentic connection when it happens. When you meet someone new and feel that rare click of genuine interest, you treasure it differently now. You don't waste time on superficial relationships because you can immediately sense which connections are worth nurturing. And once you start seeing people's true intentions, you'll notice something else too. Insight number 2. You can see where everyone's choices are leading them. After 68, you develop an almost eerie ability to see the trajectories of people's lives based on the small choices they make every day. It's like watching a movie where you already know the ending while everyone else is still caught up in the plot twists. The daily decisions that seem insignificant to them stand out to you like bright signposts pointing toward their future. Consider Thomas and William, both neighbors in their early 50s. Thomas walks his dog every morning, rain or shine. He has a garden he tends to regularly. When you speak with him, he mentions books he's reading, places he's planning to visit, and how he's learning to play the piano. He talks about his adult children with pride but doesn't insert himself into their problems. He disagrees with his wife sometimes but addresses conflicts directly rather than letting resentment build. William, on the other hand, has been meaning to exercise for years. He spends evenings with a beer in hand watching television. His conversations revolve around complaints about his job, his aching back, his ungrateful children. He speaks about retirement as a distant salvation while doing little to prepare for it. He and his wife exchange sarcastic jabs that are thinly disguised as jokes. At 68, you can see exactly where each man is heading. You know that in 15 years, Thomas will likely still be active, engaged with life, surrounded by friends and family who genuinely enjoy his company. William, however, is on a path toward isolation, health problems, and bitterness, not because of bad luck, but because of the small choices he makes every single day. This insight isn't about judging others, it's about recognizing patterns. When you've lived past 68, you've seen how small daily decisions compound over time. You've watched friends who chose daily walks and curiosity about life remain vibrant into their 80s, while others who chose complaint and convenience began to deteriorate mentally and physically much earlier. The wisdom of age allows you to connect current behaviors to future outcomes with remarkable accuracy. You can see which marriages will likely last and which are silently unraveling. You can tell which adult children will remain close to their parents and which relationships are fracturing due to unaddressed issues. You can even predict which of your peers will maintain their independence the longest based on their current habits and attitudes. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. But there's another change that happens when you pass 68. Insight number 3, you realize everyone else is living under a time illusion. Perhaps the most profound shift that happens after 68 is how differently you perceive time compared to almost everyone around you. You watch younger people operate as if they have endless time ahead, postponing joy, working excessive hours for future rewards, putting off conversations that matter, saving experiences for someday. They live under the illusion that time is abundant, while you've come to understand it as the precious, limited resource it truly is. Think about Emma and Sarah, both women in their mid-30s with young families. Emma constantly postpones happiness. She'll enjoy life after the promotion, after the house is renovated, after the children are older. She spends her weekends cleaning rather than connecting, checks work emails during family dinner, and tells her children not now when they ask her to play. She speaks about a future time when things will be less hectic, when she'll finally have space to enjoy life. Sarah approaches life differently. Despite having the same responsibilities as Emma, she prioritizes differently. She designates times when work devices are put away. She involves her children in cooking dinner rather than rushing through it. She schedules regular date nights with her spouse and occasional weekends away with friends. When her child asks her to look at something, she stops and truly looks. She lives as if today matters as much as any imagined future. At 68, you can see clearly that Emma is making a fundamental miscalculation about time, a mistake you perhaps made yourself when younger. The promotion will be followed by another goal, the renovation by another project. The mythical time when everything settles down rarely arrives, and if it does, it comes much later than expected and lasts for a shorter period than imagined. This isn't about choosing irresponsibility, it's about the wisdom to know that the moment we're living in is real, while the future remains uncertain. Research has shown that older adults actually experience time differently, with a heightened awareness of its finite nature that changes how they make decisions. You've learned through experience what younger people know only intellectually, that time is constantly running out. The poignancy of this insight is watching people you care about miss opportunities for connection and joy because they believe there will always be more time. You see adult children putting off visits to aging parents, friends postponing reunions, couples delaying the trips they've talked about for years, all under the assumption that there's always next year. And you know with the certainty that only age can bring, that this is the most dangerous illusion of all. And as your view of time changes, you'll start noticing something crucial about relationships. Insight number 4. You can instantly tell who has deep connections and who's isolated. After 68, you develop an almost supernatural ability to distinguish between people with meaningful relationships and those surviving with minimal human connection. What might take a therapist months to uncover, you can sense within minutes of conversation. It's not about how many friends someone claims to have or how busy their social calendar appears. It's about the invisible threads of genuine connection that either sustain or fail to support them. Take Michael and David, both successful men in their early 60s approaching retirement. On paper they might look similar, both have careers, families, and what society would consider the markers of a good life. But when you talk to them, the differences become starkly apparent. Michael speaks of fewer people but with remarkable specificity and depth. He mentions a fishing trip with his oldest friend where they hardly caught anything but talked for hours about their fears of aging. He describes his weekly calls with his daughter where they've developed inside jokes and shared vulnerabilities. When he talks about his wife, he includes small details, how she hums while gardening, her preference for rainy days, the way she still surprises him after decades together. His face softens when he speaks of these connections. David, however, mentions many more people but with strange detachment. He belongs to multiple clubs and organizations, attends regular social events, and seems to know everyone in town. Yet when he speaks of these relationships, something is missing. He recalls activities and achievements, not conversations. He knows where people went to school or what car they drive, but not what keeps them up at night. He shows you photos of group gatherings rather than telling stories about meaningful moments. His connections are horizontal, stretching wide but rarely deep. At 68, you instantly recognize that Michael is truly connected while David is fundamentally isolated despite his social calendar. You see it in their posture, their tone of voice, even in their health. Research has consistently shown that it's not the quantity of social interactions but their quality that predicts well-being in late life. Michael may have fewer social engagements, but each one nourishes him. David's numerous but superficial connections leave him nutritionally starved of true human intimacy. What's most striking is how this difference shows up physically. Those with deep connections carry themselves differently. There's an ease in their manner, a lightness in their expression. Those who lack meaningful bonds often have a certain tension, a brittleness that no amount of social activity can disguise. Their laughter sounds different. Their silence feels different. And you can sense it immediately because you've seen how this pattern plays out over decades. This isn't just personal observation. Science confirms that authentic relationships affect everything from immune function to cognitive decline to recovery from illness. The body knows the difference between genuine connection and social performance, even when the mind tries to ignore it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. But perhaps the most surprising thing you notice after 68 is insight number 5. You see how little people's possessions actually matter. There comes a clarity after 68 about material possessions that feels almost like waking from a lifelong dream. You watch younger people chase, acquire, maintain, ensure, clean, organize, display, and eventually discard things with an energy that now seems both foreign and familiar. You remember your own decades spent accumulating, but now you see the pursuit with new eyes. Eyes that have witnessed what truly matters in the final accounting of a life. Consider Janet and Karen, both women in their mid-50s with comfortable incomes. Janet drives a luxury car she complains about paying for. Her home is filled with expensive furniture that no one is allowed to sit on. She speaks often about renovations, upgrades, and acquisitions. Her social media showcases her possessions. The new kitchen, the designer clothes, the exotic vacations carefully curated to display prosperity. When she visits your home, her eyes scan your belongings, mentally categorizing and comparing. Karen drives a 10-year-old car she rarely mentions. Her home contains a mix of items chosen for comfort, function, or meaningful history. Her grandmother's well-used kitchen table, a slightly shabby couch where everyone gathers, walls filled with children's artwork and family photos. She talks about experiences rather than things, the community garden she helps maintain, the book group that's met for 15 years, the trip where everything went wrong but became their favorite family story. When she visits your home, she notices the person, not the possessions. After 68, you can see exactly what each woman is creating. Janet is building a showcase but struggling to find people who want to visit it. Karen is creating a life rich with memories and connections. You notice that despite Janet's apparent advantages, it's Karen who shows the physical signs of contentment. More genuine smiles, fewer stress lines, a more relaxed posture. You've lived long enough to know which approach leads to peace in later years. What becomes crystal clear past 68 is how possessions rarely deliver what they promise. You've watched friends spend decades working for larger homes they eventually struggled to maintain and ultimately had to leave. You've seen collections that consumed years of income become burdens to adult children who didn't want them. You've witnessed the way material obsessions created distance in relationships that could never be repaired before death arrived. This insight isn't about embracing poverty or dismissing comfort. It's about recognizing the diminishing returns of accumulation beyond a certain point. You understand now that possessions are like salt in a recipe, necessary in appropriate amounts but ruinous when they become the main ingredient. And you see how many people never learn this lesson until it's too late to change course. And finally, there's one more profound change in how you see others. Insight number 6. You can see exactly what people fear most. After 68, you develop an uncanny ability to identify what terrifies the people around you, often before they've fully admitted these fears to themselves. Like an emotional X-ray, you can see beneath surface conversations and behaviors to the core anxieties driving them. This insight doesn't come from mind reading but from recognizing patterns you've observed countless times, in others and in yourself, over many decades. Look at Richard and James, both men in their late 60s. Richard never mentions aging or mortality directly, yet he compulsively mentions his younger colleagues' mistakes, dyes his hair, pursues women 30 years his junior, and reacts with barely concealed panic to any health concern. He buys the latest gadgets, uses youthful slang awkwardly, and dismisses any conversation about retirement planning. Without ever saying it aloud, everything about Richard screams his fear, irrelevance and death. James, meanwhile, speaks openly about his concerns, his worry about becoming dependent on his children, his occasional anxiety about leaving his affairs in order, his desire to remain mentally sharp as long as possible. He's joined a memoir writing group, updated his will, and had difficult but necessary conversations with his family about end-of-life wishes. He makes self-deprecating jokes about his aging body but also celebrates what it can still do. His fear is the same as Richard's, but his relationship to it is entirely different. By 68, you've watched enough people age to recognize that unacknowledged fears grow more powerful and destructive. Richard's terror of aging accelerates his decline through stress, denial, and poor planning. James's acceptance allows him to address concrete concerns while still enjoying his life. You can predict with remarkable accuracy how each man's approach will affect his final years. This pattern recognition extends to all types of fears. You can see which parents are secretly terrified their adult children will reject them. They overfunction, never say no, and can't establish boundaries. You notice which couples fear intimacy. They fill the conversation with noise to avoid deeper connection. You recognize which of your friends fear financial insecurity, regardless of their actual bank balance. They mention the cost of everything and can never fully enjoy experiences. The wisdom of age helps you understand that most destructive behaviors are driven not by malice but by fear. The controlling daughter-in-law, the boastful neighbor, the always busy friend, the argumentative brother. After 68, you see their fears as clearly as physical traits. This insight breeds compassion rather than judgment. You recognize their behavior because you've witnessed it before, perhaps even in yourself during earlier decades. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on the 6 insights that emerge after 68. Seeing through words to true intentions, recognizing where choices lead, understanding the illusion of unlimited time, distinguishing between connection and isolation, seeing the limited value of possessions and identifying people's core fears. These insights aren't about judgment, they're about clarity. The gift of aging is this remarkable ability to see patterns, to recognize the invisible currents shaping human lives that remain hidden to younger eyes. With this clarity comes a unique opportunity to approach your remaining years with wisdom, purpose, and peace. The tragedy is that many people reach this level of understanding only when they have limited time left to apply it. But whether you're past 68 yourself or decades away, recognizing these truths now can transform how you live. You can choose authentic connection over performance, meaningful relationships over accumulation, and conscious choices over unconscious patterns. One simple practice can help. Each evening, ask yourself what mattered today. Not what you accomplished or acquired, but what moments felt truly alive and meaningful. This daily reflection gradually retrains your attention toward what your older self will confirm truly matters. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing which of these 6 insights resonated most strongly with you and why. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.